Ohio. We're high on Ohio. These stories inform and inspire through the words of people who make Ohio home. Good news and good ideas, identifying and acknowledging the excellence that is all around us. This is Gene Krebs on behalf of the Center for Community Solutions, and we are high on Ohio. We are doing a series of these short, informal interviews with various thought leaders and power players who have influence in Ohio and nationally. These are meant to be short and helpful to you, our viewer, in understanding how Ohio and America actually work, both politically and in the policy realm. Our goal is to increase our civic capacity here in this diverse state. Today, I'm joined by Jennifer Brunner, our former Secretary of State, who has written a wonderful book called Cupcakes and Courage, which gives some tremendous insights on how Ohio works. It should be required reading in all poli-sci classes. Jennifer, thanks for being on the show today.
Well, thanks for your kind words about the book.
So, Jennifer, how did this book come about?
I read the book, started reading the book about Cleopatra. It was the first book written about Cleopatra by a woman. All the other stories about Cleopatra for more than 1,000 years were written by men. And Stacy Schiff, the author, who's Pulitzer Prize winning author, said in the introduction to the book, the one mistake she made with all the power that she had was she never controlled the narrative. And I had finished a very contentious Senate primary, and politics is probably toughest when it's intra-party, just like a family fight is worse than a fight with another family. And I thought to myself, I owe it to my kids, I owe it to the people who supported me to make sure that we get the record out there about what so many people collectively did. And I decided to control the narrative.
You were told that if you wrote this book, it would end your political career forever. Did that worry you?
A little of both. I mean, my pollster, who's just a great veteran pollster, Celinda Lake, said, "Oh no, don't write that book. Don't write a book yet. No. You need to run again." And I thought, well, I'm just going to do it anyways and see what happens. Because look, I left my job as a judge to run for Secretary of State. I ran for the U.S. Senate and didn't run for re-election as Secretary of State. So I'm a little bit of a risk taker. So I was willing to take the risk.
Take us back to the Help America Vote Act, HAVA, as it's also known. Ultimately, was HAVA a positive force in America and Ohio?
It has been a positive overall, but there were obviously some glitches in its implementation. The thing that's I think difficult for people is that elections traditionally have been locally controlled. So when you have, I could understand the whole thought process behind HAVA based on what it was like for me to deal with the 88 county boards of elections, because generally when things are humming along or stumbling along, whichever the case is, locally, and someone from above says, well, you need to change it and do it this way, they're saying, what are you telling me I have to do this for? Don't mess with my election. And I would see secretaries of state at the private meetings that we would have among the secretaries grumble about the Help America Vote Act, the Election Assistance Commission. But the nuance here, though, is that when you're looking for equality of rights, it's not always uniformity, but there's this fine tuning that you have to do to make sure that everyone's access to the process is generally equal. And the Help America Vote Act imposed that in a big way by getting rid of punch cards, requiring a statewide voter registration database, and these were monumental shifts for many states, and so you heard a lot of problems with it. And then on top of that, you had voting machine vendors and other corporations taking advantage of this one-time massive national purchase of new voting machines, and a lot of corners were cut, a lot of shortcuts were taken in terms of the firmware that was in the actual voting machines, and as a result, you had a real chaotic situation that fortunately we were able to at least carpet the chaos and turn it around and make it right.
In your book, Cupcakes and Courage, about half the book involves your tenure as Secretary of State. One of your related duties was sitting on the board that helps draw legislative districts, the Apportionment Board, a board that always incites a fair amount of controversy. Is it possible to draw districts where we can maintain communities of interest and make those districts obey the federal statutes?
It absolutely is. This is kind of funny, right after I was elected in 2006, a group of about 4 or 5 people, including League of Women Voters, who've been longtime advocates of redistricting and reapportionment reform, came to see me in my law office before I ever took office. And they said, "We want you to be involved with us to change this process." And I said, "Okay, wait. I have to get through the 2008 presidential election. Come and see me when I've done that." So around November the 30th, they were knocking at my door and they said, "We're back and we're ready to go. We want you to help us with the redistricting competition so that we can actually test in a public contest whether or not this can be done." And we proved it could be done. And it was phenomenal. I literally took the maps and we did this with the 2000 the 2000 census with the districts drawn then. So I literally took the maps of the current districts home and the maps of the top winners of the contest, and I laid them out on my kitchen counter for my husband, and I said, "Look, we can really do this." And it was very exciting, and it's been kind of frustrating to watch a process stall for a lot of political reasons and to see the result of horrible gridlock and a horribly one-sided system that doesn't truly represent the swing state that Ohio is.